Hey guys, it's Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Today we are doing something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, as well as I get requested to do it also, and that is talk about my X-Maxx. Kind of go over the truck, what I've done to it, modifications, ESC motor, all that kind of fun stuff. Talk about the parts that I feel were totally worth it. Talk about the parts that really, they're more for looks than anything. And what I'm also going to do, guys, in this video is, even though this truck is modified with the WFO mount, it has the 1100 kV motor and all that stuff in it, I am going to talk about some of the stuff that you should pick up if you've got, let's say, a brand new X-Maxx right out of the box, a few things that you want to change. But anyways, guys, let's get into my X-Maxx. All right, before I get in this video, guys, there's something I just want to cover quickly, and that is I am not a Traxxas fanboy. I own several Traxxas trucks, and for the most part, I've been enjoying some of them more and more each day. However, I've actually been called an Arma fanboy in the past, so I feel like I just need to make that kind of clear because I'm going to be talking heavily about this truck, and guys, for the most part, it's all positive. It's all very positive, but I just felt like, you know what? I want you guys to know, even if you have to pause right now or even just go into the channel quickly, if this is the first video you've ever landed on, you don't even have to watch any of the videos. Just kind of go into my video section, see all the different RCs that I've ran, the ones that I own, so that you can understand that this is not being done by a Traxxas fanboy. I do not get these trucks sent to me for free. Traxxas, if anything, actually, when I've emailed them and actually asked about sponsorship, I usually get like, have you watched your videos type thing, because I haven't always necessarily been positive about some of the Traxxas products. However, after you get the bugs worked out on an X-Maxx, you have an absolute beast. But anyways, guys, let's get that body off and let's talk about this truck. All right, what I want to start with first is obviously some of the very obvious stuff, and that's the electronics. I run a Hobby Wing 1100 kV motor with a 50 tooth hot racing spur and a 29 tooth pinion. It just came off eBay from one of those sellers. Nothing crazy. I don't even think it was one of like the big brand names or anything like that, but I've had zero issues, guys, with it. So no complaints there at all. Castle fan, not the best. I still run the stock fans in it. I would like to upgrade those one of these times, but to be fair, I also have zero temp issues with the motor. Anytime I run the truck, I'm always feeling the motor and stuff, and it's always good to go. ESC at the moment is a Firma 160. I did have a Max 6 in here a while ago, and I was having quite a bit of issues with it. Temp issues, a couple of almost like brownout issues and stuff like that. So what I did was I had this Firma 160 with the cat pack kicking around. I had read and heard a lot of people saying that once you upgraded this, that it actually was more powerful than a stock Max 6. I was sort of confused by that, but I thought, hey, you know what? I have it. I might as well give it a try. I've put that in. I've installed this NTF fan. So a lot of people will ask me what this battery is for. This battery runs just this fan. So you've got the switch that comes from the fan, comes in here, and then this plugs into the balance port on the battery. That's how the fan gets its power. And that way, this fan, if you guys watch my last video, I will link a few videos, guys, in the description just so you guys can check them out. But this thing just screams. And temp-wise, I have zero issues with this fan in here. So it was kind of an expensive fan. I think you could probably get away with finding, some of the non-brand name type tornado-looking fans, because this was pretty expensive. But it has done a good job, guys. So hey, you know what? It's all good. Servo, I'm still rocking the 2085X. I keep pointing down here. It's not like you guys can see it or anything like that. I've had zero issues with that. I've ran this truck on trenchers, MX43s, lots of the Duratrax tires, some of the Power Hobby tires. And you know what? I have zero complaints with the servo. It's never broke. I've never done anything. The only thing I broke, guys, is the servo horn, but that obviously was not the servo. And for the most part, I have no, I would say, guys, I have no reason to upgrade this to anything even bigger, to be really honest. I mean, there's a lot of nice servos out there. You can get the attachment so that you can put like a standard 8 scale, 10 scale servo in here. But again, the 2085X just drops right in, and I've had zero issues with it. I do run the D-Hawk Racing bell cranks. Are these needed? I don't know. On the Haas, I broke my stock bell cranks, but I've always liked just to have aluminum bell cranks. I feel like they're worth it. So I got these ones. These red bits, so here and back here, if I can get you guys a better angle, not really, there it is. They come from Atomic RC is where these bits came from. And I've had the hot racing ones, which again, I had zero issues with. I just wanted red ones on here, and Atomic was the ones that had them. So that's why I went with those. Again, are these aluminum parts needed? I don't really know. I've always had them. I've always liked them. I kind of feel this back one is because it does sit on the bearing. And I feel like that's probably a good thing to have. It definitely makes it, you know, just keeps your bearings seated better and doesn't warm up like plastic would. So I think that's a good option to have back here. Since we're back here, WFO motor mount. Because I run the larger motor, the 1100 kV motor, I needed a aftermarket motor mount. Totally worth it. It's you pretty much don't have a choice actually. If you want to upgrade to 1100 kV, 800 kV, you've got to move up into one of the companies that are out there that make a motor mount for the larger motors. This went in, zero issues, good to go. I've never had any issues with the pinion or the spur, you know, coming apart or anything like that. Even actually, guys, the pinion itself, I think, has only ever let go once. And all I did that time was I removed the pinion, used a smaller drill bit. I can't remember what size it was, but I kind of just drilled into the motor shaft, just kind of put like a little indent in it, then put the set screw back in with Loctite, tighten it down, and again. After that, guys, I've had zero issues, so it's been very good to go. The 1100 kV, I feel like I should just kind of talk about that for a quick minute. If you run this truck stock, and by stock I mean you remove the stock Traxxas ESC, you drop in something like a Max 6 or the Firma 160, whatever, and you keep the stock motor, you have a good setup. The X-Maxx is a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep referring to, when I say stock, I'm saying stock, but without the stock Traxxas ESC. It's a very good motor. The stock motor, guys, runs really, really well, and it is a lot of fun in this truck. However, after you've had the truck for a while, and especially if you move up to a set of these, and I'm emphasizing, guys, the trenchers, because when I first got my trenchers and I was running it off a stock motor, I didn't like them. If I was on Facebook and people asked about them, I would always say the same thing, that, you know what, they're heavy. They will kind of bring your performance down a little bit, and as long as you're okay with that, hey, go with them, but they're big, heavy tires. This 1100 kV gets rid of all that. You don't even notice you're driving on trenchers. You don't even notice that you've added extra weight, extra rotating mass, all that. The 1100 is the absolute perfect motor for an X-Maxx. And if Traxxas was to ever release a V2, which I'm gonna go on the record right now, guys, saying I don't think we're gonna see a V2 X-Maxx for a long time. However, if we did, that would be the only thing, well, not the only thing, but one of the things that would be nice for the truck to move up to is an 1100 kV motor, because with this motor, I feel like I always have power to spare. I barely ever really get to have full throttle on this truck. Again, running that 29 tooth 52 spur. It just always seems to have tons and tons and tons of power. It has been the best upgrade yet for this truck. It makes it just super fun. And actually, guys, it makes it almost, you know, it's funny, when I had it out in the last video and I was jumping it, it has so much more power than the 800 that I found the truck was even quicker in the air. So like braking and wanting to bring up the front end was just so much faster that it honestly is the motor of choice. When I recommend motors to people for the X-Maxx, it's an 1100, whether it be the Hobby Wing or the new Castle censored combo, which would obviously probably be wicked in this truck as well. Just the size though, guys, 1100 kV, you know, you get more RPMs than the 800, but you still get gobs of torque and all that kind of fun stuff. So that is definitely, guys, the motor I recommend going in this truck. Down here, so this guard, the shock shaft, basically for everything from here down, so everything from the body down, you buy as a piece. These are bigger, and I can't remember right now offhand what size they are, but they are a bigger shock shaft. I don't know, and hey, if anybody wants to comment right now, please do. I don't know if anybody's ever had problems bending the stock X-Maxx shock shafts. However, since I've had these, I have never bent one. Last year, I did a pretty good tumble where I broke one of the stock arms, and I also broke one of the tubes. Actually, I didn't really break the tube. There's a threaded piece here, and it's basically threaded here, threaded here. I broke that. And the cool thing is you can actually buy just these pieces right here. So I was able to save my tube, but I did break the arm. and again, I broke that piece. I did nothing to the shock shaft whatsoever. It was still good, still golden. So I don't know. Again, if you're watching this video right now and you've broke or bent a stock shock shaft, let me know. Heck, if you broke one of the ProLines one, let me know also. Drive cups. These are from the same company that made my motor mount, WFO. The whole point of them is they just kind of help basically with, like, you've got your drive shaft and you've got the pin that goes through where it sits into the drive cup. The whole point is that they just save the cup itself. They keep the cup from kind of going boop. And what's funny is when I was actually installing these for the first time, I was doing this corner first. And it's when I noticed that I'd actually cracked the stock outdrive. I didn't even know the truck was still running, but I had a big crack in it. And so obviously I replaced that. But I'm going to say this, guys, because to me, this is where I'm going to, become all fanboyish about the X-Maxx. Most times when you have to change an outdrive, you've got to pull everything apart. You've got to pull your diff out. You've got to do everything. These outdrives, if you don't know, you basically just have to take off your tire, loosen a couple screws so that your dog bone will drop out. There's a set screw in there. You just go in with a screwdriver, pull out that set screw, outdrive pulls out, clean it up a little bit, put the new one in, throw some Loctite on the screw, put the screw in, put everything back, and you're done. It's literally like 3 or 4 minutes and you will be good to go again. That is awesome. Now, I've only ever broke the one because all the rest are good to go. But to me, a very awesome way of doing things. The engineers, when they developed that, they really knew what they were doing. All right, I went ahead, guys, and moved this outside just because it's a really nice day out here. And I wanted to talk quickly about a couple things. I do have the Hot Racing steering knuckles. These are the aluminum ones. I did pick these up just because I really like the way they look, but I have had 0 issues with breakage, so that's a good thing. As well as I also have the GPM hex wheel hexes on here. They're 13 millimeters, so they add a little bit of width. The only reason I actually added them was, if you remember back when I was doing the MTX wheels and tires, I was trying to add a little bit of width so that I would clear those ribs on the inside of the rim, and they did not help. But I did decide to stick with them anyways because they do add a little bit of width to the trenchers and to any other wheels and tires I run on the truck. Back here we have the RPM rear oversized bearing carriers that pretty much are on every single X-Maxx out there. It's pretty much the first upgrade everybody does. And actually, if anybody has a brand new X-Maxx, I'd be curious if Traxxas has actually changed that, if they've gone to a larger bearing in the rear or not, because I actually don't know. All right, next, guys, we're going to move on to my wheel nuts. I say that because every time I do a video with my X-Maxx, somebody always asks me about them. They are 24 millimeter wheel nuts. What they do is, if you have a Creighton 8S, Outcast 8S, whatever, where you've had to drill out the wheel, these wheel nuts will allow those wheels and tires to come back onto your X-Maxx. Obviously, when you drill out those wheels and tires, if you put that little teeny tiny X-Maxx, almost looks like a little 17 millimeter wheel nut back on, actually I think that's exactly what it is, it won't even cover the hole anymore. These wheel nuts, they kind of have like a flanged, kind of built in, that now allow the wheel to sit on the wheel nut, and you get to tighten them down, and they work awesome, guys. I've never had an issue ever with them. All right, guys, there you have it, my Traxxas X-Maxx. I did this video, guys, because I get a ton of comments, questions regarding, why do you have the reservoirs, or what are they? People ask me about tires, they ask me about ESC and motor, all that kind of stuff. And what I wanted to do was just put together a video where I kind of cover everything I've done to the truck, talk about why I did the parts, why I upgraded the parts that I did, and were all those upgrades really worth it? As I've mentioned, hey, you know what, the reservoirs, not so much. However, they look cool. I keep them on the truck. Things like the tires, for example, you have to upgrade your stock tires. The stock tires are garbage. When you start jumping this truck hard and you start trying to do backflips and you're braking midair and all that kind of stuff, those stock tires go. They start to split. You don't necessarily have to go to trenchers, but whether you go into something like the MX43s or a set of the Duratrax, that you basically fix that issue. I've never had any problems with my Duratrax or my ProLines on my X-Maxx whatsoever. Everything else, guys, for the most part, like I said, the ESC and the motor, I do now feel like I need a bigger motor. Obviously, putting the 1100 kV in this truck was awesome. It's transformed it into another truck. It's stupid fast. I always feel like I have reserve power. Do you absolutely need to do that? If you're not running a big tire like a trencher, I would say no. You can get away with a stock,
motor running, let's say something like a 20 tooth pinion and a 50 tooth spur. If you're running the Duratrax because they're not very heavy, hey, you end up with a lot of performance. My stock motor was pretty much at the end of its life. It was starting to lose power. And I thought, hey, you know what? If I'm going to replace it, I'm going to replace it with something fun. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it, if you're building an X-Maxx or you've built an X-Maxx or you're even just thinking about buying an X-Maxx and you've watched some of my videos and other people's videos for that matter that have a lot of the same similar aftermarket parts, you'll see why we did that. One thing I didn't touch on, and I'm just looking at this now, the Traxxas HD arms. I think I mentioned earlier on in the video that I did break an arm at one point on a bad landing. That was the only reason why I upgraded to the red HD arms. I've only ever broke one arm, but I always did want to have those red arms. And by breaking the one, it gave me an excuse to buy a complete set of red ones. But anyways, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it kind of helps you with your X-Maxx and that this truly is, guys, one of the best RC trucks you can buy on the market. One, it's very durable. It's honestly a tank. After, again, you get through the pinion and spur issue, it's a tank and it just looks amazing. It's big, it's broody. You always enjoy. Every time I take this truck out and I throw it down on the ground, I always enjoy running it. And even just sometimes just looking at it, driving around slow, it just looks wicked. Anyways, guys, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and enjoy lots of pics.